Hi guys, this is Tracy. I'm going to show you how to change the free Summer Gnome SVG, the bonus file from this week, into a printable file so we can use it on sublimation on a Dollar Tree blank. So this is the SVG that I brought in. I've already shown you how to bring it in. If you don't know how, you can check out the video on the blog post here to show you how to bring the SVG in. The reason that I brought the SVG in for this particular design is because the beard on my little dude here is white, and if you use sublimation or if you print at all, you know that white does not print. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to change his beard to a grayish color, and that's a little bit too dark for me, so let's go in here, and that looks about good there. Okay, another thing I'm going to do, well, first let me resize this. I have measured my board, and I know that my board, the design that I'm going to need, I need it to be about 4 inches wide. So leaving this locked here, come up here and we're going to type in a 4. And by leaving it locked, this is now proportioned to size. So I'm going to move this over and I'm going to bring in a shape. Bring in a square here. And this square I am going to make unlock it and put it behind. Let me make it white just so we can see it. Send it to the back. Now whenever you do sublimation, you always want your back to be bigger than what you're sublimating on, so that way you have overhang and you don't have to worry about the color not showing. So I think if I do this, let's do about 5.2. And then let's center this. Alright, but what I'm going to do, instead of leaving this paper white, I want this paper to be a color. So I'm going to come up here and change this to a print and cut. Go to this part and I'm going to use the pattern fill. Now I've already uploaded the color that I want to do, but I'm going to show you how to upload the digital papers that we see for free all the time that I share. This is where you're going to get them from. Now, this is the one that I'm going to use, but I'm going to show you how to upload one. So let's go to Upload, Pattern Fill, Upload Pattern. I just downloaded this bundle right here from Creative Fabrica. All these colors are in here. The one that I'm using is this one right here, but I'm going to upload another one just so you can see how to do it here. Let's do this one. Open. You can name it here if you want to. Upload this. Takes a second to get in there. And we're going to go to our canvas. And this white back here, actually I'm going to duplicate it so I have another one. I'm going to come up to this and I'm going to click color. I'm going to go to pattern. Now right here is what I just uploaded. This one here. These are all the ones. Some of these I've uploaded already, but there's some in here that Design Space does provide. But this is the one that I just used, but I'm going to use this one here. And then you can come in here and you can edit the pattern. You can flip it, you can rotate it if you want to, but I like the way that it looks right here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to center this. Okay, and I'm going to highlight all of it, and I'm going to come down here and I'm going to flatten it. Delete that because I don't need it. Okay, so this is the size our design is going to print. Like I said, you always want it bigger than what you're going to sublimate on. So I'm going to go over to make it, and I'm going to print this from my sublimation printer. I have a Epson printer that I converted into a sublimation printer. You're going to send it to your printer. Make sure that your correct printer is selected. This is my sublimation printer. Turn this part on right here, and then you'll have a box that will pop up. Sometimes they pop up behind Design Space. You might not be able to see it. Make sure that your printer is selected. Go to Preferences. You want to change this to matte. Your standard you want to be high. Then you want to go to More Options. Turn off your high speed. Hit your mirror. You can flip it before you print it if you want to. I'm just showing you that you can do it with your printer. Now, even though this doesn't look like it's flipped here, it will be flipped when I print it. Then hit OK. And then you're going to hit your print button. It's going to print. So that's how you set it up for your sublimation printer for print and cut. And then I'm going to show you how to put it on the board. So here's the laminating sheet that we're going to use. It comes in a full sheet and it's folded over, and you only need half of it. So you're going to go ahead and separate it and then cut it in half or rip it, whichever works best for you. And you're going to want to cut that sheet down a little bit smaller. So I laid my board on top of it and then just traced around it with an X-Acto knife, a crafting knife. If yours is sharp enough to cut it, it might actually cut it, but mine ended up just scoring the paper, so I had to use my scissors afterwards to cut it down. But when you do this, you want your laminating sheet to be larger than your board, and then you can always come back later and trim it down. Better to have it too large and hang over than to be too small. And you'll notice on the laminating sheet, there's a shiny side and like a foggy side. You want the foggy side to be down, so the shiny side is up. And we're going to line that up with your board. Try to get it centered if you can, but that's what we're going to press on our heat press. My heat press is warming up to 400 degrees. And I realize now that I should have used my lint roller to clean it off, and I did not clean it at all. I wish I would have, but I didn't. But my press is at 400 degrees. I put a piece of butcher paper on the top, and you're not going to press this for very long. You just want to get the laminating sheet to adhere to your board. So basically you're melting it on. So I did it for a few seconds, had to adjust my tension a little bit because I hadn't fixed it from the last project that I made. So had to mess with that for a while. After I pressed it the first time, I realized that my sheet was hanging over onto my pressing pillow. So I put another piece of butcher paper underneath, and I put the butcher paper on top again and then pressed it again. Again, it didn't take very long for it to adhere, but it did turn out really nice. You want to make sure that there are no bubbles underneath. Make sure you have it pressed completely on. So that's what I'm looking for here. The laminate sheet looks really good on there. It did transfer really easy. I was surprised. I'm just going to cut down my overhang just a little bit, not completely. I'll finish trimming it all off after the design is on, but just to get it down just a little bit smaller. And then we're going to cut our design down a little bit. I used Cricut Print and Cut, so the registration marks is what I'm cutting off of my sheet here. Remember, you don't want to cut it too small. You want it to be larger than your design. So that way, when you transfer onto your project, you'll have full coverage of your color and everything. You don't have to worry about it not showing on the sides. I'm lining it up here, trying to get it centered. It does help if you have light behind you, behind your project, so you can line it up a little bit better. It helps you to see. And then I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to use heat tape to tape my design to my project. I get pretty enthusiastic with my tape here. I'm always afraid of ghosting, so I kind of go overboard with the taping, but that's okay. I tried a new heat tape with this project. The stuff I had before was really thin, and this stuff is thicker, and I really like it. So my heat press again is at 400 degrees, and we're going to press it, and make sure when you press you have butcher paper underneath and on the top. That'll help if there's any blowout from your sublimation ink. And when you press it, you want to make sure that your design is facing up towards the heat platen. That'll help. The heat will release the gases from the sublimation ink, and that's what gets adhered to your project. Now I have a Teflon sheet on the top of my heat press. A lot of people say you don't need them. I don't ever take mine off. It's got magnets on it, so that's why I left it on there. But for the first press, I pressed it down for, I think it was about 35 seconds. Just checked it out to make sure how it was looking, and I felt like it needed more time. So without lifting up the paper, I pressed it down again. And then I did let it sit for about 5 minutes before I took the paper and any of the tape off. So here I am taking all that tape off that I put back on. When I pulled back the paper, I was so excited to see how bright and vibrant it turned out. There is a tiny little spot right on the left part of his hat. You probably can't tell. Being a crafter, of course, we always pick out the bad spots. Not that it's bad, but just a spot that I noticed. And I'm pretty sure that has to do with my pressure. But it just has just a tiny little part that didn't transfer a whole lot of color. But other than that, I'm completely thrilled with the way this project turned out. I think it looks so cute. There's so many possibilities. Think of what you could do with these little dry erase boards. You could even personalize this. And now that you know how to do the digital papers, you could change the color of the background if you wanted to, add a name in. Lots of fun projects you could do. I'm just cutting off my excess with my scissors, and then now I have a small craft knife just to help trim the edges a little bit closer. And that really worked well. It kind of trimmed or cut off just like cutting butter. It was really nice. But yeah, that's it. Hope you guys like this project. Of course, I would love to see if you make this or anything else. Make sure you come on over to the Facebook group and show your projects. You know I love seeing what you guys make. Okay guys, have a great day. Happy crafting. Thanks for being here with me.